Okay.
Less than 100,000.
Sometimes my phone is like,
And then you also have all of these funds. 2 acres. Which have money in them. Expensive 2 acres. 113,000 somewhere else. Well, hold on, because somebody's going to say.
We got 3 minutes? I'll just show it to you, Mayor. I just have to see it.
okay, that'll be fine. It's 7 o'clock, I think. Okay.
Yeah, 7 o'clock.
I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Nashville Town Council to order, please. Let us please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Father, we invite you to this council meeting to lead us and guide us and to give us your wisdom in making decisions for our great town of Nashville. Amen.
Amen.
First item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We have thank you. Thank you. The first are the March 30th minutes. Are there any corrections to those?
I have at least one. Yes, just one. On page 6 of 85, the second paragraph where it says Mayor Pro Tem Burns briefly mentioned her concerns, that is Councilwoman Hinton who mentioned that, the concerns with the education system, and how it would likely be exceedingly difficult to bring young families to town. And then I had noted that this is a statewide problem that is seen in the surrounding counties and not just a Nash County issue.
Okay. Any other corrections?
Is that just what you first said?
Yeah. On the, that is for the strategic planning, those minutes. Okay, do I hear a motion that we approve the March 30th minutes?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Now let's look at April the 6th minutes, the regular meeting minutes. Are there any corrections to those?
Yes.
Okay.
On page 10, the last paragraph,
Okay.
when it says Chief Pocket proposed that the town could use the 32,000.
No, I'm on the wrong page. You said it's 10.
Is it
Oh,
page 10 of 85?
no, she means page
10 of 85.
19 of 85.
Okay.
Page 19 of 85.
Okay. Okay.
So Chief Pocket proposed that the town could use a 32,000 made off Elm Street sale to move forward with the program. I guess checking on parking downtown. And I'm trying to think, what was the 32,000 that we made off the Elm Street sale? Randy, do you know?
Oh, that's supposed to be the Body Street property, I'm guessing.
That was years ago.
That was years ago,
Right,
before he even got here.
That money's long gone.
right. But there was no Elm Street sale, so.
No.
No,
Uh-uh.
it was not.
None at
So
all.
that's, pure misleading.
Okay, next.
Page 17 of 85. I think at the last paragraph, the council member Hinton asked if parking would still be available on both sides of, should be Drake Street,
Mm-hmm.
once it becomes a two-way. And so on down further, it should be Drake Street, not Body Street,
Okay.
several places.
Okay, we've got that corrected.
On page 21 of 85.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, the paragraph that says before the council voted, a citizen asked the proposed rent that would be paid to the town, to Mr. Hurt, for accessibility to that property. And it goes in, including parking, parking lot and farmer's market. Town manager stated that thus far, the parking lot, stage, and real estate could be leased to the town for $1 per year. That needs to be noted. The town would have to do the improvements and build a parking lot and stage. For the farmer's market, it would all depend on the cost of upfitting the current venue or vacant sheds. And so, the last sentence, the town would only pay rent on what they were able to use. I want it noted that the town would pay $1 per year.
Well, it says here, Town Manager Lansing stated that thus far the parking lot, stage, and real estate would be leased to the town for $1 per year. The town would have to do the improvements and build the parking lot and the stage. For the farmers market, it would all depend on the cost of upfitting the current venue, the vacant sheds.
So that would be a different,
Yeah, but they were talking about, okay, that sentence that says a parking lot, stage, and real estate.
Right, but I think he then specifies what it is for the farmers market in that next sentence.
So there are a lot of questions about that. It's very vague.
any other corrections?
Okay, page 31, actually page 22.
Okay.
22?
22, the
39
last,
of 85.
last paragraph. Councilmember Hinton asked a question about water and sewer. She noted a decrease in water and sewer revenue of $505,000 coupled with increases. That figure should be $1,066,000. And the last figure that it reads 1,682,000 should be 1,682,230.
It turned all around.
Any other corrections?
That was the correction.
I
Any
have,
other corrections for
sorry, I
the,
have one on page 9 or 18 of 85. That one's in the top paragraph, where Mayor Pro Tem concurred, and that the original intent was for luxury apartments, and noted, well, this is the part that I want added, and noted that we cannot speak to a specific use, but only to all of those uses available under the office and institutional. That was my only correction.
okay. Ann, did you have any, if not, do I hear a motion that we approve the minutes with those corrections?
So moved.
There's, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved with the appropriate corrections. At this time, we'll move on to our public comment time, and we have two that have signed up to speak. And Larry, you're going to time us for our 3 minutes. So, Al, Hyde, would you come up and
Good evening, Al Hyde, 117 West Washington Street, Nashville, 27856. Okay, the reason that I'm speaking is I just want it noted that I submitted an article to the Nashville Graphic, and prior to doing so, I wanted to be sure that all of my facts were correct. And even though I take notes during the meeting, I'm not paid by the taxpayers of Nashville to do so. We have a clerk, I suppose, that's paid to do that. And the last minutes apparently are from April the 6th. Today is May 4th. That's a bit of a lapse. And then I asked two questions, which were, I called and Randy called me back. I wanted to know the enterprise fund balance and the general fund balance, neither of which were known. And I have an email stating, this was dated Monday, April the 3rd at 2:09 p.m. from Randy. It says, Al, today is the town's spending cutoff date for the FY 21 budget. All departments must have all of their purchase orders to Finance Director Samantha Sanchez by 5 o'clock p.m. tomorrow morning. She will have the current fund balance for the general fund and the enterprise fund, and I will give you those amounts. Thanks. That did not happen. It needs to be noted. I called. I was told that I would get them prior to the meeting. I got them as we were reciting the pledge. So what I was just told is the enterprise fund balance is under 100,000, and the general fund balance is 4.8 million. Thanks.
Joanne Cooper.
I'm speaking on regarding Body Street. I wasn't sure if you'd want me to speak now or wait
Yeah,
until the
that's
okay.
fine. You can go and
Joanne
speak.
Cooper. I operate a business at 203 West Washington Street, the Nashville Graphic. I live at 7261 Old White Oak Road, Nashville. First, I'd like to thank those who were involved in communicating with the county. We have seen a difference. I would like to suggest that that's something we're going to have to probably remind them maybe quarterly or keep talking to them because, you know, we go back to our old habits if no one's paying attention. But in talking with the merchants, we have seen a difference on those heavy court days. And then back to the possibility of turning Body Street into a one-way street. I still have reservations for myself. I've spoken with Ashley at Scooter Station with semi-trucks coming down Body Street with it being a one-way street. We just don't feel like if we don't have an option to be able to pull those semis over so that traffic can get by, we're going to have mad citizens. It could become a safety issue, actually. And we're not even really sure. We may need to study if a truck can in fact even make that turn and go down that street with a narrow lane, because it's going to be a narrow one way when you add in the parking. I spoke with Ashley, and I could sometimes block traffic as much as 20 minutes if everything's going smooth. Ashley said he could block traffic anything from 30 minutes to an hour. So I know he's been in communications with Randy too about, you know, how his trucks come in and what is needed. And I guess the last thing is we're not even sure if and when the Nashville Furniture Building is leased or sold, if they will need freight. So there's another incoming semi, most likely. So just wanted to make sure we keep all those things in mind. Excuse me.
Understand.
Make sure we keep all those things in mind when we study this and maybe not seal the deal too quickly until we know all these things will work safely. Because I really don't want to upset citizens to the point that they're calling you and then 6 months to a year from now I'm told I can't bring trucks in on Body Street. And that would be detrimental to my business.
Thank you, Joanne.
Okay, thank you.
Our next item is I would like to introduce Dr. Lou Hunnicutt, president of Nash Community College, and thank him for coming to our meeting tonight.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to come, Mayor Brown. I had the privilege of hosting you and Randy in my office way over a year ago. It seems impossible at this point in time, but it was. And I could not say anything else but what I'm fixing to say, but of course I'm going to say more. The young man standing back there behind the camera, Nash Community College graduate, incredible component of Team Nash, and most recently an international award winner for his broadcasting talents, Isaac Anderson. So I could really drop the mic and walk off now, but I'm not going to do that. But no, I've been wanting to come and introduce myself to all the town councils for over a year now. My goal had been to have this finished by summer, and then this little thing called COVID-19 got in the way. So I began as the 5th president of Nash Community College on November 1st of 2019. So I had 3 months before COVID. So it's been an interesting time, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not just saying this because Isaac's back there. I have never worked with a team that is more student-oriented than the 560 of us that work out at Nash. And so I'm very proud of that. And also very proud that COVID has some silver linings. It slowed things down enough for us, for me to get to know my team. In a regular year, I would have been gone to Raleigh 2 or 3 days a week and out in the state. COVID kind of kept us all at home. And so I was able to really bond with my leadership team and with team members like Alex more than I would have normally. The one thing to let y'all know, we never closed. We took our spring or our Easter break last year, moved it to spring break, took 5 days to get as many things online that weren't already online done, and then we started right back up on day 6. So 55% of us have been there every day. And if you add the people that have been there part-time, half-time, or a little more than that, over 86% of us have been on campus since the start of COVID. I'm very proud to tell you, too, we have had no on-campus transmissions. So it's been a very effective process for us. But the reason I wanted to talk to you all now is a little bit give you some background. I'm from Texas originally, by way of Georgia and then North Carolina. And I was 12 years in the Texas Community College system, and that's where my mission in life was, because community colleges change lives every day. I got lured away to the University of Georgia because it was the University of Georgia, and it was kind of great, but I immediately got off mission, and friends of mine told me I would. The University of Georgia gets 27,000 applications for 5,000 freshman seats every year, which means they literally pick the cream of the crop in the state of Georgia. We could have taken any of the students. I was assistant provost there. We could have taken any of those students and dropped them at Harvard. They'd have been just as successful. I was off mission. So I really thought I would retire there, and a friend of mine sent me a link for a job in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I clicked on the link and I called her. She's in Chicago, and I said, if this is so great, why don't you apply? And she said, because it's kind of in the country. And the reason she said that, I am from a little town in Texas. I lived 50 miles outside of a town in Texas of 200 people. My paternal grandmother, my paternal grandfather, my mom, my dad, and 2 sisters have been mayor of that town. My mother is still the mayor at age 85. So we get small town, and small town, how it has to work. So getting back to the country of Nash County, it was something really good to me. It didn't take very long on the website till I saw the blue love shine through and thought, you know what, there's something special there. So then I went about getting the job because then I wanted it. I wasn't really looking for a job, but after I saw this, I wanted it. And I was very privileged to be chosen and show up on November 1st of 2019. So just to tell you, I'm going to give you all some little handouts here, but number one thing to tell you, my card is on these, my business card. Y'all have access to me anytime you want it. And what we're really looking at doing at the college,
Thank you.
and Randy, I'm going to leave the rest of these with you except for one, and I'll give you this in a minute and give you 31. We are really looking, we're in our strategic planning process right now, and our goal is, even though y'all are 4.5 miles away or whatever it might be, we still want to bring the college to the county better than we have. Last night I was in Whitaker's. I've been to all but now 3 of the town councils, and it's been just incredible getting to meet everybody and see that, you know, there's a lot of good people in North Carolina, and I really like that. So our goal is to reach out and say, what do you need? And then the answer won't always be yes, but we're going to see what we can't do out in the county as well. But just to give you some facts, most people think if they've read the reporting about our student body that we have about 12,000 students a year, and we do, when you consider continuing education, community service, and then academics. But that's only a small portion of who we serve. I know probably everyone in this room has been to Brown Auditorium pre-COVID to many, many, many events. My first 3 months, I think it was busy every night. And that helped lead to a number, and it's that second number down there. We served in 2019, the last full pre-COVID year, almost 79,000 people at Nash Community College. Many of those overnight stays, which means food, lodging, shopping, all that good kind of stuff. After knowing this, we initiated an economic impact study because we wanted to know what is the advantage of having a college in the county. I assumed I knew because I've been doing this for a long time. We just got the initial results back, and it's through IMSI, who is this international company that does these all the time, so it's really quality data. And they have put forth the number that the college being in this county benefits the county to the tune of $86 million a year. And the better number to remember, and I really like this one out of every 38 jobs in Nash County is somehow affected or has been affected by Nash Community College. That's impressive to me. That's better than many of the colleges that I've been and worked at before. So I know y'all know how important it is. We just want to be taking the message out more to the masses, if you will. We have many, many different programs. I'm an administrator who does not believe everyone needs a 4-year degree. My father used to kid me before his death that I had more degrees than a thermometer, and he was right about that. But to get where I am, I had to do that. But we also have programs like electric linemen, who in 16 weeks, one semester, with very little debt, because Duke or Electric Cities or one of the EMCs funds these students, very little debt, 16 weeks, these students graduate, and last year, the average starting salary was $50,000. With very little debt, probably living at home still, which is a good thing. You reflect that against teachers, which I'm a teacher and I'm a whole family of teachers, and God bless every teacher we have on the planet. But teachers take anywhere from 4 to 6 years to finish the bachelor's degree because most don't go full time anymore. In North Carolina, the average debt that teaching students incur during college is $42,000. In North Carolina, the average starting salary is $34,000. So you weigh that against the lineman, and if lineman's what you want to do, basically no debt and $50,000, $42,000 worth of debt and $34,000 salary. So we're really stressing the point that not everyone needs to go to school forever. If you want a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree, 4-year degrees, we think you need to stay here and go to Wesleyan, because I am a firm believer if we train them in Nash County, they're going to stay in Nash County. I left at age 19. I left my county. I've never been back. Now, I've been back to visit my mother. I want you to think I haven't done that. But I've never moved back. There just wasn't an opportunity for me there. Had I had the opportunity to train in the county, I would still be there. So Evan Duff, president of Wesley, and I are working very hard to figure out a funding model that we can get a pathway to students. We start in the 3rd grade. At Rocky Mount Prep right now, we're going to be moving it into the elementary schools and Nash County Public Schools, where we start branding students in 3rd grade to Nash Community College. So if we set them on the path then, if 4-year is their chosen degree, excuse me, we're going to pathway them on to Wesleyan and keep them in the county. But we have so many other options. We have career in a year, career in 6 months, career in 3 months, career in a month. We have skill up classes that if you're looking to do a little advanced work, 1 month you can do training that'll get you a better job, or at least a move up in your job. So again, we're so appreciative to the support of Nash County. Again, the $86 million means a return on investment for county dollars to our budget of 30 to 1. If my retirement account would do that, I could probably retire a lot sooner than I think I'm going to be able to. So we know we have a benefit of the county. We know the county knows that, and that's a really great thing. I've been places before where there's a kind of a friction between the community college and the county. That's not the case here. All over the county, it's been amazing to listen to the stories about, my grandmother went there, my dad, my sister, my uncle, my niece, whatever. I wear Nash stuff typically all the time, and I have a hard time getting past checkers at stores because they want to tell me their Nash story, and I love it. The people behind me don't love it, but it's nice to hear those stories. So my main open-ended question to y'all tonight, and again, you can answer it later, is what do you need? What does Nashville need from Nash Community College? Y'all have got my contact information. Let me know. Keep using Alex as much as you need because he's a good one. I could line him up, like cordwood behind him, all the good ones we put out, but he's definitely one of them. But do you have any questions for me? If not, I will get out of y'all's hair and just say,
How is the early college doing?
Great question. The early college, is on campus now before my time, but they can have up to 100 students per class, and that's 5 years because we have that super senior year. This year, and of course, COVID affected everything, but this year, I think Jennifer told me, who's the principal, we're going to be at 412. So numbers are looking really good. And when you combine that with our city Hyde that's down in Rocky Mount, and our regular CCP, those career and college promise students in the high schools, they make up about a third of our enrollment, of the total student enrollment we have, and that's incredible. And those are those kids that by the time early college, when they graduate from early college, they have the opportunity to have finished their associate's degree too. And the other thing to tell you on the back of this sheet, which leads right into that, I love four-year schools, I love universities, I love UNC, but I'm picking on them a little bit because if you look at that back chart, see way over in the corner, that little amount of money there, that's the full 2-year cost for Nash Community College. It's less than $6,000 for a full 2-year degree. If you want the 4-year degree, come here first. Save that, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Let us educate you. It's going to transfer right with you to UNC or Wesleyan, wherever you want to go. And for those early college kids, early college is free. And so they're finishing a degree while they're still in high school for free, and it's opening doors for them to go anywhere. So thank you for asking that. It's doing very well, and we're so proud to have it on campus. Steve Ellis calls it his, I call it mine. It's really Superintendent Ellis's, but it's really mine. Any other questions?
Well, the only thing I've got to add is, I am a Nash Community College.
I saw that.
Yeah, I am with 2 degrees, but we've got to get your stories we've got to change your Nash stories into Nashville stories.
We can talk about that.
We can.
Dr. Hunnicutt, thank you so much for taking your time and coming to the
Thank
council
you so
tonight.
much.
We
I
do
enjoyed it very
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you. Well, I will get out of y'all's hair and leave it with y'all.
Thank
Thank
you.
y'all. Come see us sometime.
Our next item on our agenda is our old business. This is the second hearing about about Body Street. Randy, I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Last meeting, we had a public hearing on making Body Street a one-way between Washington and Church Street. And unbeknownst, not everybody had received a notice, so recommended the council we table this and reschedule another public hearing. So the next public hearing is this evening. So I guess at this time, if there's anybody who wants to speak about making Body Street a one-way for this first block, the podium is theirs.
I'd just like to know, follow-up.
You have to come up.
I'm sorry. Christian Collins, 206 South Body Street. I'd like to know, before we are, give any feedback, what he was asked to do prior to this meeting, with following up with different people on different options before adding the additional parking there, where he got with that and what was taken care of, and then that might raise some other questions.
Could you refresh my memory? What was I gonna check up on?
Well, the police department was checking on ways to handle finding people for not parking there. Also meeting with the magistrate to make sure that, or maybe not the magistrate, but other people that are up there that are responsible for who's parking where. Was that follow-up done?
Sure. So, I reported this to the council in one of my weekly reports, but Chief Puckett did reach out to Judge Sumner, and Judge Sumner did send correspondence to all court employees and all attorneys, both prosecuting and defending, asking them to refrain from parking on the south side of Washington Street during court days. That letter has gone out, and I think Joanne may have attested to that there has been a noticeable decrease in parking there. As far as other options for parking on Body Street, I think in the packet there are 2 plans. One would be drive-in parking on the east side, and the other would do parallel parking on either side and having the one-way go down the center. Other options, you mentioned something else and I forgot.
Well, just to follow up with the people, us in town who it was directly affecting.
Yeah. I have put together cost estimates for hiring a part-time employee to do nothing but patrol and police the 2-hour parking downtown. You know, I've also looked into, Councilmember Hobbs had mentioned the fact that there's technology available now. We can put advice adhered to the curb in front of each one of the parking stalls on the south side of Washington Street that are hooked up to Wi-Fi, and they will track when a vehicle pulls in, pulls out, and when one sits there for more than 2 hours, it can send a signal to someplace. I talked with our planning department about having our planner be that individual that notice would go to, and then Sean could leave town hall, go down and issue a parking ticket. There would be a documented time of when that vehicle pulled in, pulled out. So if anybody did contest it, the facts or the evidence is right there. That technology is pretty sweet. It comes with a price ticket. I got the vendors working on a price for us now for those. I should have that in a week or so, you know, before we get to the budget. But those are the two options. I mean, I've talked with the police chief several times about enforcing the 2-hour parking downtown. I know he and a couple of the other uniformed officers are walking up and down there more often than they have been, as far as actually writing a ticket for somebody parked there more than 2 hours. Again, I just don't simply have the resources to park an officer there on court days for 2-3 hours to watch how long a vehicle has been parked in a particular spot. And that's why I came up with, looked at the idea of hiring a part-time person to do just that.
We also talked about the possibility of a video camera that would link directly to the police department so that they would have video of the cars pulling in. Is that one of the options, or is that more expensive than the other two that you're exploring?
It's not more expensive. There's going to be a degree of difficulty where you place those so that because the cars are all parked at an angle, if you put it directly across everything that way, you won't be able to see the license plate. You will in this way, so it'll take several different cameras, and then the resolution on those is going to have to be such that, you know, from a stationary camera, you're able to zoom in and see what the license plate number is.
Mm-hmm.
So we looked at that early on, and it just didn't seem like a feasible option for policing the 2-hour parking downtown.
Okay.
Just to continue my objection with this, again, Christian Collins, 206 South Body Street. I feel communication has lacked through the process. First off, the first meeting, we did not receive a letter as residents on the street. In the agenda here today, it says that this was the second letter that was sent out, which is not true, so I want to note that. Also want to make sure that people understand that we did not receive a letter until late last week, which gives no people time to communicate and prepare for tonight. Secondly, I think we need to, you guys need to think about how it affects the businesses that have already come and spoken with the big rig trucks, and also affect the extra traffic that it's going to pull down to Body Street into a residential area, driving that traffic one way. With that said, though, you know, it had been mentioned that with the new rec center that's added to Body Street, which is a great addition to the town and to the community, that extra traffic would be coming. The majority of the business that is there, if I'm not mistaken, is all at evening. Mm-hmm. So they still do have the ability to park on Body Street in the manner that they are right now, or on Main Street, so that additional parking is not needed. And I just think that you guys should consider that there needs to be more research on fixing the issue of the parking downtown before you affect businesses that are paying good tax money to Nash County, along with the current residents that are paying tax dollars to you guys also. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the council?
Mayor, I'm inclined to agree with the gentleman that just spoke. I think we need to just kind of back up a little bit right now and wait and let Randy continue to explore other ways that we may solve this problem, because I don't think turning Body Street into a one-way is going to solve our problem of parking. Now, we have had a great bit of success with as a result of the letter that the Superior Court judge sent to the people, because I kind of monitored myself as I ride through town, and I can see a marked change in available parking on the street. So I think we need to wait and see if this will work for us for right now. But just like anything else, after 2 or 3 months, if we don't stay on top of it, or if our officers don't keep being visible on the street, that in 2 or 3 months, everybody's gonna get lax and kind of back off again, and we'll be back just where we started from. But I think we need to just back off right now and see if we can explore some other idea, because I personally don't like the idea of the tractor trailer coming in on Body Street and stopping. I don't think our business owners should be tasked with the job of going out there and flagging or blocking traffic for him while he unloads. That's not their job. That creates another hazard, and it's supposed somebody goes out there and get hit, who's responsible for that? So I
Well,
think,
Mr. Taylor, why don't you just put that in a motion, that we don't close the street and see, and let's go on and settle the issue.
well,
I'll be glad to.
you go ahead and put to the motion, and I'll second it.
I move that we keep Body Street a two-way street.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, okay, it will stay a two-way street. Okay, next item on our agenda, is the zoning of the builders, prime builders. Sherry, are you gonna talk to us about that?
Okay, this is a request by Prime One Builders LLC to rezone approximately 2.03 acres at 797 Cook Road, along with 1.127 acres on an adjacent vacant lot. Nash County, PIN number 380013143646 and 380009145670 in the town of Nashville from A1 Agricultural District to I1 Light Industrial District, per Division 9 of the Nashville zoning ordinance. The purpose of the rezoning is to allow continuous I1 zoning with the existing surrounding properties for future development for Nashville Industrial Park. The subject properties consist of a single-family dwelling and an adjacent vacant lot. The subject properties are surrounded by A1 and I1 and A1 zoning districts. Rezoning the properties from A1 to I1 would allow the properties to be better utilized and redeveloped to be in harmony with the existing surrounding land uses in the industrial zoning district in the area. The planning board met on April 28th, reviewed the rezoning request, and is recommending the properties to be rezoned to I1. The planning board consistency statement is also attached, and they recommended the approval because it met the guidelines and is connected to the industrial district.
Are there any questions from the council?
Randy, is Mr. Balance, is he gonna be satisfied with this property now? If we get it rezoned for him like this? Because we flip-flop back and forth. Every time we turn around, we either exchanging some property out or having to change
This
the
is the
zoning
property
or
he
whatever.
purchased, right?
He purchased this across the
I know,
road.
but
The Jones property.
The Jones.
the one
property.
across the
It's
street.
not- Yeah,
Right.
that's not that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And he wanted to have it zoned industrial so that if he or the town does get a prospect, we don't have to go through a rezoning process. It's already rezoned.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So,
I did read that. I don't know why I didn't catch it.
Mayor, this is a public hearing on this rezoning, so if there's anybody in the audience that wants to speak for or against the rezoning, now is the time.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against this rezoning? This is the property actually sort of across from Cook Road on that, where that home is.
I move that we grant the rezoning.
Is there a second? Okay, Lynn, second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 The next item on our agenda is the resolution opposing SB 349, HB 401 of the 2021 North Carolina legislative session. Randy, you want to talk about that?
Sure. If you had an opportunity to read the agenda report on there, there's a bill in the House and the Senate that's working its way through. And this particular bill is called Increased Housing Opportunities. And what it is, it would basically take away all various residential zoning, like right now we have R4, R6, R10, R15, and R30, and there would just be one residential zoning district in every town and every county throughout North Carolina. There are some pros to that, and there are some cons to that. And the North Carolina League of Cities has put out a call to action to county commissioners and town councils and city councils to notify their state representatives to oppose this legislation. Some of the things that they point out that that Oregon has adopted a similar radical measure, and even in its state legislature has not gone so far as to eliminate single-family zoning and other forms of zoning to the degree that this legislation does. It also says, from start to finish, Senate Bill 349 represents a broad and comprehensive attack on local land use decision-making and the ability of local property owners to weigh in on what is and what is not appropriate development for their neighborhoods and communities, and that the bill would obstruct the ability of locally elected officials to consider all interests when making land use decisions, including those existing homeowners and property owners who stand to lose the most when incompatible uses are allowed on properties adjacent to theirs. And that many North Carolina cities have led the way when it comes to making investment and policy changes designed to encourage affordable housing options, but have done so with the community involvement and neighborhood appropriate measures. This bill is a blunt instrument that does neither. So,
Who sponsored these bills?
Yeah.
I would like to know.
well, if you go on the league's
Yeah, I need
website and pull it up, it has the three legislators on both the House and the Senate who have sponsored this legislation. But there is a model resolution that the league put out and was in your packet for consideration.
Bullet point 2, if this legislation was passed, it wouldn't be any need for public input anymore, would it?
No?
No, because they could do
Because
it.
you
Right.
do it, you cut it out.
Exactly.
We'd lose all of our,
You lose all your control.
it's called local
Yep.
control.
Right.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution opposing House Bill 401 SB
I
349.
second.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, so we'll get them our letter. Our next item on our agenda.
I'm sorry,
is-
just with the resolution, there was one thing at the bottom of page 82,
Thanks.
where it says, "Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Nashville, North Carolina." I want to say formally request as follows, because then it makes more sense with those three sentences. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Kate, so very much. Okay, I'll turn it over to Coy Worrell, our Director of Parks and Recreations. Let him tell us about the Kids to Parks Day proclamation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is just an initiative to try to get kids connected in nature, get kids outside playing in parks. I don't have the proclamation in front of me. It is something that the town has done in the past just to recognize May 15th as Kids to Parks Day.
Do we have any plans to do anything on that day, or have anyone show up, or it's just generally kids going out into a park somewhere?
It's just generally kids going into a park. We don't have an event planned on that day, but we're just going to do a social media campaign to try to encourage people to go outside.
Okay.
Boy, I have a question. It's not about the parks, but on Wednesday nights, when you have line dancing and a lot of activities at the rec center, I noticed that people are parking in the lot next to Ashley Bass's place, the lot at the corner of Church and Body. I wondered if you had some kind of agreement with him that people could park there.
I do not have any kind of agreement with him on that.
Okay. But I did notice parking, so he must be okay with it.
Not to my knowledge.
He may not know. The parking there.
Well,
And tell everybody, so to be on, when is our next movie night?
Our next movie night is coming up this Friday, May 7th. We have a classic, The Mighty Ducks. The movie will start at 8:30.
Okay, and I want all the ones in the audience, make sure you're. Okay, thank you, Corey.
Thank
Do
you.
we need to vote on this, or is this just an awareness?
Mayor, if you wouldn't mind maybe reading
Need
the
to read the
proclamation.
proclamation.
Okay, I'll read that. It says, whereas May 15th, 2021 is the 11th Kids to Park Day, organized and launched by the National Park Trust, held annually on the third Saturday of May. And whereas Kids to Parks Day empowers kids and encourages families to get outdoors and visit local parks, public lands, and waters. And whereas we should encourage children to lead a more active lifestyle to combat issues of childhood obesity, diabetics, hypertension, and hypercholesterolemia. And whereas Kids to Parks Day will broaden children's appreciation for nature and outdoors. And whereas Kids to Parks Day will recognize the importance of recreating responsibly with enjoying the benefits of the outdoors. And now therefore we, the Nashville Town Council, do hereby proclaim May 15th, 2021 as Kids to Parks Day. So that is our proclamation. So that's great. That should be fun getting out.
Mayor, get back to the parking in that lot on the corner. When that lot initially changed hands, the gentleman told us, and it should be part of record, the gentleman told us if he's not using that property at the time that we needed it, that he wouldn't have a problem with us using that. So, Corey, if you would, touch bases with him again and see if he's had a change of heart and don't want us to stay there at all, because we specifically asked that question.
I
And
remember you asking that, if the town could use it
when
needed, if it was after business hours
Right.
and he wasn't using it, and he said yes.
he said yes. So,
I just want to make sure it's okay for
right.
folks to, that we're not, if there's a gentleman's agreement or.
Has he told you something different?
It's my understanding, he said he did agree to allowing vendors to park there during Blooming Festival, but that was the only parking he had agreed to, is my understanding.
Well, I know I did specifically ask Blooming Festival, but I think he said as long as he wasn't using. So maybe,
But check with your people Wednesday night
Yeah.
just to see if
yeah,
that.
just check with him. See. Okay.
Thanks, Corey. Randy, did you have anything else?
Oh, good.
They're also parking behind the store as well.
Okay, thanks.
Behind
Corey.
the store.
Corey, let them know not to park there also, please.
Oh, the furniture store.
But, yeah, behind the furniture
Okay, right.
store. Kate, do you have any
No
comments?
comments tonight, Mayor.
Louise?
I just wanted to make sure I heard this right. The enterprise fund balance is under 100,000, is that correct?
It is expected to be less than 100,000. And I do want to clarify one point that Mr. Hyde made. He stated that he sent that email on April 3rd, but I believe he must have meant, based on Mr. Lansing's response to that email, he must have meant May 3rd, because yesterday at 5 p.m., all the purchase requests from the departments were due to me. And of course, today, I spent the day reviewing and approving those purchases and compiling the reports, so that the information that I could provide to Mr. Hyde would be the most accurate and up-to-date information available. So that's less than a 26-hour turnaround, not a 1 month and 26-hour turnaround. I just wanted to clarify that.
Any other questions, Louise? Lynn?
I have no comments, thank you.
Larry?
No comments tonight, Mayor.
Yeah,
Was-
quickly.
Yeah, but it was May 3rd, and if I said April 3rd, that
Okay,
was
you
a
did,
mistake.
but that's fine.
So it was May 3rd, but my point was just I would think you would know. Like if a client calls me and wants to know a balance in an account, I can go to the account and pull it up. I
When
wouldn't
you-
think it would
okay.
take 24 hours.
Well, I did know, but I just wanted to provide you that information, taking into account all the expected purchases for the remainder of the year. And so that
Okay.
was the reason
Okay.
for the delay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for supporting us in our great town, and I hope you have a good rest of the week. Meeting is adjourned.